Lydia somehow attracted the attention of a giant, got hit by the giant. I was looked and went, well, I'm not getting her back. Like 4 hours later in game, she just rocked up as if nothing had gone wrong. It's like, Lydia, what was space like? Did you see God? What's
she
up
saw
there?
Starfield.
She wouldn't tell me. She wouldn't tell me what was up there. So far away, Lucas, and lovely audience at home, welcome to another episode of Wiki Weekends, the series where I, your host this week, Karl, Smallwood, scour the lengths and breadths of the internet for a wiki on a subject I'm interested in and bring it forward for discussion with you, Lucas. And this week, we're talking about something that Shadow dropped about 2 weeks ago, depending on when people are watching this video, The Elder Scrolls 4, Oblivion.
We're essentially talking about both because we've both been playing the remaster, but the wiki itself is on the original. And you say it's shadow dropped. For anyone that paid attention to gaming news like I do, this has been coming for like a year, and even to the like exact date that it was going to drop.
I don't really like keep up with leaks and stuff like that because I prefer to be surprised. And this year we've had a few surprises. Because we had the Ninja Gaiden 2 remaster that just shadow dropped out of nowhere. I was super happy about that. Or should I say, Izuna dropped out of nowhere. And then Oblivion 2 months later. I'm like, fuck yeah, two of my favourite Xbox 360 era games just got ground up remasters. I'm like, fuck yeah, I'm 13 years old again. I want ankles, Lucas. I want ankles.
Oh my god.
Give me the ankles. You're the one that has to die.
Karl really sounds like some, Victorian age creep.
I am.
It's like, oh, show those ankles, ladies.
Yeah, when the girls at the club and start splashing some ankle.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily agree with dropping a game like Hi-Fi Rush with no marketing, but when it's a remaster for a game plenty of people love, and it's on Game Pass now, go get the remaster, I think that's a really clever way of doing things.
Especially when it's a game that everyone agrees just whips all kinds of ass. When I saw, Ninja Gaiden 4 got announced, that's sick. Wait a minute, they're doing a remaster of Ninja Gaiden 2? They're doing Ninja Gaiden 2 Black? Wait, it's out now? Wait, it's 7 o'clock in the evening, I've got all evening to play Ninja Gaiden, let's go! The game wants you to fight these, and you can actually just run straight through and leave.
That is exactly what I would opt to do. Just run.
Because they can only fight.
Oh my god!
What was that? Oh my god! Fuck! Ninja Gaiden! Ninja Gaiden, yes!
That's the thing is, I spoke to you that evening and you're like, oh yeah, Ninja Gaiden 2 is great, I've beat it. It's like, hang on. What?
I beat it the day it came out because I fucking love Ninja Gaiden 2. But we're not talking about Ninja Gaiden 2, we're talking about The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion. And Lucas, you did not play The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion when it first came out, but you have played it. You've streamed it, in fact. What do you think?
Well, I got into Oblivion because of Skyrim, basically, and a friend had shown Oblivion to me. I went, that looks amazing. That was mind-blowing at the time on 360, right? And that was truly a next-gen experience game. So I either rented it or they lent it to me for a bit. I can't remember, but I couldn't really get into it the first time I played it. And then when Skyrim came out, I really enjoyed Skyrim, went back to Oblivion, but I basically blitzed through the game in, 30 hours, haven't played it for a dozen years and kind of mostly forgot about it.
Yeah, for me, my experience with Oblivion was similar. I consider Oblivion to be, it's one of those games that I looked at and went, oh, this is what an Xbox 360 can do. There was two games for me that I just was obsessed with prior to the release of the Xbox 360. And it was Dead Rising and it was Oblivion. I played Gears of War, but when I saw the amount of zombies on screen in Dead Rising, I was like, oh my god, this looks incredible. And I remember I saved up all my money for 2 years, and then I traded in my PS2 and all my games to get an Xbox 360, but I couldn't afford a game. And I downloaded the demo for Dead Rising 1 and replayed that 20-minute long demo over and over and over and over again. It's time for the fabled 1720 quickscope. Oh, I did it! Get wrecked!
Did you get the 360 that had Hexic HD on there though?
I don't know. I just got one secondhand from a shop and I just played whatever demos I could download over and over again. And to this day, Dead Rising remains one of my favourite games. And fortunately for me, a friend of mine had Oblivion and they lent me a copy and I just replayed it a dozen times. I fucking love Oblivion.
Yeah, that's the thing for me. Skyrim's the one I've put hundreds of hours in over multiple playthroughs. Oblivion was just a one and done for me because I already had Skyrim as well.
Yeah, I've similarly replayed Skyrim a bunch, but going back to Oblivion, I'm like, I can see why a lot of people prefer Skyrim. It is the far more streamlined experience, but it being so streamlined removes some of the charm. Like Oblivion is buggy as all hell, and I love it because of that. Like, in the remaster, they've left in the mistakes, which I adore. Like, for example, there are moments in the game where you hear the voice actor fuck up their line, and like to the point where they say, "Oh, let me do that one again," and they left that in the remaster because they know people want to hear it.
I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night. Wait a minute, let me do that one again. I heard that thieves broke into the Arcane University, the Imperial Legion compound, and the temple all on the same night.
That's the thing is, they knew what stuff to clean up, like the lighting and the animations and the combat and stuff. They cleaned that up a little bit, but they knew the right amount of jank to leave in there and the things to leave in there. Like, people are saying in, like, a positive way, oh my god, I'm walking into, like, a shop and everything on the table is vibrating insanely at once. It's like, yeah, that's the jank we want.
Yeah, because like, that's the thing. I would be annoyed if that wasn't in the game, because if you're going to say, hey, this is a remaster of a game you love, I want all the stuff I loved about that game present. Like I mentioned Ninja Gaiden 2 earlier. Like, I think it's a fine remaster. I don't think it's as good as the original Ninja Gaiden 2, because there's not as many enemies on screen. It's as simple as that. And anyone who played the original Ninja Gaiden 2 release on Xbox 360, because the PS3 version toned down the amount of enemies. And to me, that's not Ninja Gaiden 2. And the fact that Ninja Gaiden 2 has had multiple re-releases, remasters, there's like Ninja Gaiden Sigma, there's Ninja Gaiden 2 on the PlayStation, there's like Ninja Gaiden the Master Collection. They've never just straight up said, here is Ninja Gaiden 2 for the Xbox 360 with 4,000 enemies on screen. Because the console can't handle it. The console couldn't handle it then, but that was part of the charm of the game slowing down to a crawl because you are killing 500 ninjas at once with a single ultimate attack.
Do. Oh, I'm so happy.
Oh, no more ninjas! He's the hero one. He's the one.
There's one more ninja.
And as well, you can just see Ryu charging up and glowing with like powerful sex energy.
Yeah, and I think another really good example of a great remaster was the Dead Rising one, where similarly they polished it up, but they kept a lot of the like jank in there, a lot of the original like elements in there, but then also gave you a couple of quality of life bits, like
Yes,
the
like-
fast forwarding.
Like fast forward and just like auto save and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Yeah.
Dead Rising is another game when I replayed it and all the jank was still there. In fact, there's one bit of jank that I'm pissed off isn't as present as it was in the original, and that is there's one move Frank has access to in the original Dead Rising game, and it's the wall kick. And the wall kick is not a great move, but something you could do is you could jump off of like a table or something, wall kick, and then fly all the way from like the top story of the mall all the way to the bottom story and like doing a flying kick, and it looked fucking hilarious.
Right, yeah. You
But
could
they
do
changed the
that.
gravity ever so slightly in the remaster, so Frank falls too quickly when he does that, so you can't go all the way across the mall with a single flying kick. I know, it's ridiculous, isn't it? Right, let's get some more. Let's get some more OJ. Also, this is my favourite shortcut in the game. Oh. Just
Oh my
the
god.
flying kick!
No, you can't, unfortunately, but most of it's there, and there's more zombies, and it's like, cool, great, excellent.
And that's the thing, I played like Dead Rising Remastered, I'm like, man, there's a lot of zombies on screen. Then I play like Ninja Gaiden Remastered, and I'm like, man, there's not a lot of ninjas on screen. Give me more ninjas. Like, I was one of those weirdos. I played through like Master Ninja difficulty. I didn't give a fuck. I did not respect my own time as a teenager when I was playing through that game.
And that's one of the weird things, right? Is that now, like, as time of recording, 3 big games just dropped on Game Pass within a week. And back in the day when it was like, oh, I'm a kid, I haven't got disposable income, I bought Oblivion, this is my game for the next year.
And now there's loads. And it's like, as someone who was there for that original like Xbox 360 generation, I'm eating fucking good. And folks at home, like, our analytics say most of the people watch this are about our age. Like, do you think you're eating good with these remasters, or there are games out there you want to be remastered that haven't been yet? 'Cause there's one for you, Lucas. Is like specifically an Xbox 360 era game that you'd think like you'd like to come back and just see that that fresh coat of paint on it. Because for me, it'd have been Dead Rising. I've talked in the past about how I think Dead Rising should be a game they remaster with each new generation of consoles, just to put more fucking zombies on screen. I think they should have remastered it every time they released a new console, just to put more zombies on to showcase the capabilities of that new console.
I think it's a very boring answer, but like, when are we getting remastered Halo 3? Come on.
Oh man, like imagine Halo 3 if they put like more enemies in. So like, do you like that final battle at the end of Halo 3? And the final battle amounts to like 3 tanks, and you're like, this doesn't really feel like humanity's last stand. No, don't force it. We want the AI to get, give its a level best. Right. You see what I mean? You just drove off the edge.
Not just 2 scarabs, but you've got like 30 banshees flying about, hundreds of enemies.
That is a good shout, actually, because now think about it, like, when you go back and replay Halo 3, it still holds up, because the game is great, and the bones that are there are solid. But when you think, like I said, this is humanity's last stand, we've got 4 Scorpions. Really? You couldn't have sent anything else?
Similar to Oblivion back in the day is your mind had to kind of fill in the blanks for a lot of how epic the game actually was compared to how it felt.
And Lucas, we're 10 minutes into the video, we haven't even read the wiki yet, so let's address that now. So, The Elder Scrolls IV Oblivion is a single-player role-playing video game developed by Bethesda Game Studios, published by Bethesda Softworks. It is the 4th installment of the Elder Scrolls series and is set in the province of Cyrodiil, in the heart of the Septim Empire, during the Oblivion Crisis. And I'm not going to say I'm the biggest fan of the Elder Scrolls series, but I did play Morrowind back in the day. On the Xbox. Not even on the Xbox.
Yeah.
Like the original fat Xbox. I played Morrowind on that shit.
I think literally the only 2 original Xbox games I played on an original Xbox at the time were Halo 1 and 2.
Okay. So I'm not going to say I'm like a big fan of the series, but I do like everything I've seen so far. Like, I love the lore. Like, one of the things I love doing is reading the books. I'm one of those weirdos who reads and collects all the books in the games, and I distinctly recall, I think it's either in Oblivion or Morrowind, there's a book, the story of which I recall in almost its entirety, and I'll track it down so I can put the link on screen if anyone wants to go read about it themselves, but it's about like a knight who's in a castle that's under siege, and they describe throughout this book, yes, this knight is just wearing this armour, and he recalls learning about how it works. And supposedly, when you're wearing Netch armour, if you lean into the blow, you can avoid any damage that would come from the swing of a sword, as long as you keep doing that. And they talk about how night after night, this single knight who's defending the castle goes out in this Netch armour into the gardens to steal apples.
Mm-hmm.
And just he manages to survive the siege for months by doing this. And when the siege is finally broken, and the enemy come into the castle, and they see one fucking dude in there, they're just like, oh my god, one dude held off an entire army on his own. We thought you were a fucking monster or something. And the detail that I like is the ending of the story is that knight is given that garrison by the king just for how much of a baller he was, and he turns it into an orchard to grow apples.
Oh,
and it's and that's just a story I still remember in a video game I played 2 decades ago.
That is one thing that I really like, is there's a lot of ancillary lore put in the game that you can go find and discover, but I think the thing that I most enjoyed with my little I think I played about 7-8 hours on stream over a couple of streams, and I just really enjoyed stumbling into things, right?
It's the thing I love about Oblivion and Skyrim. It's why I would replay Skyrim each and every year. Just make a character and just sprint in a given direction, walk into a cave and see what's inside. Even though I know I've played enough of the game where I know roughly what's going to be inside because I understand how the leveling system works. But I try to ignore that when I play Skyrim, just so I can go in and go, okay, what's going to be the treasure here? And I'll tailor my playthrough to whatever loot I find, and I find that very satisfying. And I will no doubt do the same thing with Oblivion. Oblivion will likely replace Skyrim to scratch that itch after I finish playing through it, the remaster. Next year when I get the urge to play, Oblivion or Skyrim, I'll probably pick Oblivion, run out into the woods, and just see what happens. Because I love that. I love just walking around the world and just seeing what's happening.
Yeah, it's one of those things, again, I just didn't remember much about the game, and as you know, I did my best on stream to, do a quote-unquote Sabrina Carpenter run.
Man, that's the thing. That's what I love about Oblivion. And games like this where just you have complete freedom. to choose how you approach like any given scenario. And you mentioned you made Sabrina Carpenter on stream, so where would people watch such bizarre streams, Lucas?
Don't want to spend all night on this. Well, they would go to twitch.tv/legendofcanto, and the link is going to be found in the description below anyway, but yeah, you can find me over there. And yeah, I made a very ugly Sabrina Carpenter, because you suggested to make them a wood elf, and you know what that default wood elf looked like. I did my best. I tried.
Because the wood elf is short, and Sabrina Carpenter's like 4'11".
Yeah, so I just went in. I was like, I'm only going to wear fashionable clothes, no armor or anything. So I ended up running around in like a short pink top and gold trim booties, and that was it. I was a bard. I just focused entirely on like look and charisma, and was like, all I'm gonna do is like sing Paralyzed Kiss people and try and romance someone. And then everyone was like, well, there's no romance and no bard in Oblivion. I'm like, oh.
You know what though? You can roleplay that there is. It's the beauty of a role-playing game, right? I think like some of my most treasured gaming memories come from just playing the game in a way that the systems and mechanics of the game probably didn't expect. For example, one of my earliest things to have ever gone viral. There are folks out there who might have seen this and didn't realise it was me. Many, many years ago, I got blind, pissed drunk, booted up Skyrim, as I often did back then, and just said, do you know what I'm going to do? Fuck it, I'm going to roleplay as Hayley Williams. And my only goal, because I think like she had a new album where one of the lyrics is like pulling the wings off of butterflies, I'm just going to pull off the wings of every butterfly I find and just documented it on Twitter. And it ended with me psychically levitating a cabbage up a mountain. And that still goes viral, like, to this day. And people maybe don't know it's me, so that if you've seen that, that was me.
Yeah, because I remember, like, I'd originally seen that post and thought it was funny, but it had, like, the name blurred out, and then, like,
funny as a watermark over. You're like, fuck you, I thought that was my thing.
And then when we were in our group chat one time, you were like, oh yeah, this, like, you know, a couple of days later, you were like, this has gone pretty viral. Like, check this out, look how many views it's got. And then I was like, oh shit, yeah, I've seen this already being shared.
There's so many of the things that I would do when I was drunk, when I was, like, you know, in university, that went super viral. People don't know were me. For example, I did, like, a Batman playthrough, where it's just me, like, reacting to the fact that playing Batman in detective mode just makes it like Batman's been attacked by skeletons. And I just call it like Halloween Batman mode and stuff like that. There's one where I was like watching Jurassic Park. I was drunk tweeting Jurassic Park, and like a single screenshot that went super viral is when like, Alan Grant's like, it's a dinosaur. And I just captioned it like Alan Grant dinosaur expert. I got like 1 million retweets or something like that, and it still goes viral to this day. I've been doing this shit for years, folks. And the thing is, people always ask, that you must be putting that on, right? It's like, no, but it's just how I play games.
Yeah, and me joking about seeing that tweet and that, you know, thread pop off ended up with the discussion going to the point of you being like, I think I made a joke of like, oh no, I should do the same in Oblivion, but be like Sabrina Carpenter. You were like, do that. That's a great idea.
Why not? And speaking of like treasured gaming memories, I would be remiss if I'd not mentioned my friend Tom, who might be the funniest person I know who doesn't know he's funny. Because he's like very particular when he plays video games, and he's the guy who I just go to his house, we'd get a cup of tea, and he'd just play Grand Theft Auto, and I would be like pissing myself laughing at how he chose to play Grand Theft Auto, because he was just he has such specific, like what's the word now? Not foibles. But there's just some there's a very specific way he approaches like problem solving in video games that's just very amusing. For example, he just once tried to walk everywhere. Just to see what happened. Do you like those like challenge videos you see on YouTube now of like, oh, I'm going to go through all of a game like without using this stat, without jumping.
Yeah.
He would do that for fun and not document it. He just wanted to see what happened. Like he tried to do a Grand Theft Auto run where all he did was walk everywhere. And it was really boring up until it wasn't, and I'll never forget. Like, it's probably the hardest I've laughed ever. And I know I say that a lot, but I laugh a lot. I'm a fun-loving guy. He was walking across the road. He waited like, as well at the traffic lights. Because of course he did. Waiting there for like a good 30 seconds. Like, the traffic light's going, he just walks across the road as Nico. And a taxi pulled and like slammed on the brakes and hit Nico. And because like the ragdoll, it took him like 40 seconds to fall over because he like slid off the bonnet. And my friend just went, tried to be a nice guy. and pulled out his pistol, but because of the way, like, you know, the model stood up, it looked like Nico pulled it out like the back of his pants. He just pointed it directly at the guy's window, shot through the window, and I am the Zodiac Killer, and ran and jumped off a bridge. And it's like 2 hours of setup for that joke. I was howling.
And, like, unintentional joke as well, yeah.
Yeah. Let's say he just off the cuff said that. It's like, it was one time, I remember, I don't know why it made me laugh so much, but he was getting chased by the police, and like a police helicopter went by and went, that guy thinks he's so big just because he has a helicopter. Just pulled out a rocket launcher and shot him out of the sky. And the helicopter like landed on him and went, wow, he sure showed me.
Oh, God. Like, I swear to God that there's some kind of homing on helicopters, because I've been killed by, like, shooting down helicopters and they've landed on me multiple times in GTA 4.
It's like the pilot knows. Like another one in GTA, there's like an assassination mission. It's like, oh, take out this guy. So he got a taxi to the location, got out of the taxi, dropped down to one knee with a rocket launcher, shot it at the guy's car, and got back in the taxi before it even hit the target. It's like, that is some Agent 47 shit, right? He wasn't even like, he was in the taxi on his way back to, like, you know, collect his money before the rocket had even hit.
Oh,
And that's why video games are great. You don't get that with any other medium.
yeah, like, on my playthrough of Oblivion, just bringing it back to Oblivion itself, like, I ran into a town up the mountain and was like, oh, fuck it. This, like, I think it was it was the Fighters Guild, not the Thieves Guild. There was just a Fighters Guild building in a town that I'd found, because I went in to look for a shop for a repair hammer to do a glitch, ended up finding the Fighters Guild along the way that said a very hard lock, and I was like, fuck it, let's try. Eventually managed to break in, have 2 lockpicks left, spend, 45 minutes on stream trying to open up a display case, and you're like, I bet these aren't real, like ebony armor items. Which, of course, I thought, I heard you say that off the cuff, I thought you were joking. Spend 45 minutes to open this display case, they're fake.
And I just start losing my shit of like the fake Gucci. They got her.
They got me with fake, like, cosmetic items, basically. I pick them up and steal them, which then, you know, leads people to, like, come in and chase me. And I've realised they've locked me back into the Fighters Guild with a very hard lock and no lockpicks.
That's what I love about like Oblivion, like emergent gameplay as a result of like the raging AI, which we've talked about in the past on Fact Fiend. They had to tone down a lot between like pre-release and release, and then they've toned it down even further between Oblivion and Skyrim. For example, like a story that sticks in my mind told by like Todd Howard when he's like doing a retrospective on Oblivion. He's like, yeah, early in the days of like Oblivion, like the raging AI started doing things we didn't expect. For example, we programmed people to be addicted to the drug Skooma into the game. Like we created digital drug addicts, and we assumed that they would just stay in the location that they were in. But we didn't realise that the parameters of their AI was broad enough where, when they didn't have access to their drug, they would go seek it out. So, for example, there was a skooma dealer in a cave somewhere the player could encounter. However, during playtesting, every time players encountered that skooma dealer, they'd been beaten to death and were surrounded by drug addicts who'd also been beaten to death, and then just one remaining one who'd immediately become hostile. And it turns out that the moment the instance started, like when you started the game, every fucking skooma addict in Oblivion immediately ran towards that one dude, beat him to death to steal his skooma, and then fought each other over the drugs.
They just had a Highlander moment.
Yeah.
There can only be one.
There can only be one like drug addict in Skyrim, in Oblivion, sorry. And so we had to tone it down. Like for example, as well, like something that happens in the game is like every like NPC in the game is programmed with a schedule. In most games, the schedule that like an AI follows is a pre-programmed set of things to do. They will walk from point A to point B and then back to point A unless there is like something that catches their eye. In Oblivion, it's a lot more involved than that. So for example, every morning an NPC will be programmed to wake up at a certain time and then go eat breakfast. If you go into their house and you steal all their food, they will have no food. So what they will do instead is they will walk out of their house and go to the nearest place they can either buy food or steal food, depending on how low like their honor is. I think that's honor, maybe it's infamy, but there's like a stat that determines whether or not they'll commit crimes or not.
Yeah.
And if they have no money and they're not willing to steal, they'll go get a weapon and then go out into the woods and hunt for food. until they, like, you know, find a deer or something like that. And that was a problem because if a player just, like, you know, scraped through the game and picked up fucking everything they could find, you'd go back to that town, it'd be deserted. Because everyone in it just went out into the woods to find food and then got eaten by bears. And they talked about how, like, in early, like, builds of the game, just the wilderness was just full of dead bodies from people going into the woods to try and find food. Because the other thing, like, players, like NPCs will do is hoard the food and then fight over the food. So you go into towns and they'll just be, like, in the middle of a riot. Because, like, you know, the low rank, the people who were willing to steal stuff would steal all the food from everyone else. It's crazy. It's really interesting.
Realistically, all of that sounds like what's about to happen to us in about 5 years' time.
Oh,
right?
yeah, it's like, then you think that's unrealistic, then the pandemic happened and people were hoarding fucking toilet roll. Right? So it's like way ahead of its time. But yeah, they had to tone down, like, the range on the Radiant AI, because they just assumed that, well, they're not going to act that far outside of the parameters we've set, are they? And like I said, they just do things like seek out people in other towns.
How are you?
Been better. How about you?
Not bad.
Good to hear. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
That's that you'll just occasionally stumble across stuff like that, and it mentions here some of the features of the game include 26 square miles of, like, game world to explore, which is pretty fucking impressive for, like, the era it was released in. 200 handcrafted dungeons, and that's the thing about the dungeons, they were all made by hand. Like I say, one of the things about Skyrim is when you play through the dungeons, it's like some of these dungeons feel not procedurally generated, but there's like 15 different types of dungeon, right?
Yeah, it's apparently very similar in Starfield, where it's just like, what of the, like, 30 pre-selected buildings is going to appear in front of me?
Exactly, yeah. And then you have, like, 9 major cities and many smaller towns and settlements, over 200 quests, with several more added in the add-on, over 1,000 unscripted characters with full facial animation. And we're going to say, they do have full facial animation. Maybe they shouldn't, because it's fucking terrifying.
Necromancy may be legal in Cyrodiil, but few will openly admit to practicing it now that the Mages Guild has banned it. Farewell.
Yeah, it's not exactly the best in the original. Like, the faces look bad. They've got, like, that dead eye, like, Bethesda stare going on. Their lips are not synced at all to the audio. It's a...
Yeah, it adds to its charm, though, right?
Yeah, and I think that's very important to note, is, like, it's not necessarily that I think Bethesda fans specifically want games to be broken. It's that they were broken in bad ways, like the PS3 Skyrim port, but there's a lot of janky elements that are just... They don't really deter away from the experience too much, enough where it's a problem. A lot of it is just, like, a little bit glitchy and a little bit janky in a fun, charming way, and I think Starfield kind of just had no charm. It felt like, it's almost like it was too polished, which sounds ridiculous, but it had no charm to it.
Well, that reminds me of a quote about media, like, and I'll try and find the exact origins of the quote so I can credit the person responsible, but it's something to the effect of, like, nostalgia for old formats of media will hinge on the things it could not do, or its limitations. For example, when people get nostalgic for old, like, 4:3 TV and video games, and they make video games that, like, you know, try and ape that style, they include, like, the scan lines and the film grain and stuff on the TV, right? Even though that was a limitation that no longer exists with modern conveniences. Or when people listen to music, right? When people listen to vinyl. Like, it's the fact that vinyl, there's an unpolished element to it. Right? Like, it's not perfect, but that's why people like it.
But at the same time, I understand that, like, it's technically of a higher quality than most, like, CD mediums.
Analog is ultimately the better quality, but there are limitations to that hardware and that medium that people do end up looking back on with fondness, like in regards to Oblivion. That jank is part of its charm. With Skyrim, that's like over a decade old now. I think everybody who played Skyrim had pretty much the exact same experience of seeing a giant, walking over to the giant, getting hit by the giant, flying 500 fucking feet into the air, laughing their ass off the entire time, running over to the giant and doing it again. That was a bug.
And then getting pissed off when they fixed that bug, and to the point where they put it back in the end.
No, they put that bug back in because, as you said, it didn't actually detract from the experience. It was this shared moment Like, it's a meme, essentially, shared by players.
Mm-hmm. Like, you were dead either way, but it's funnier to die and watch yourself fling 500 meters into the air afterwards.
It's also way funnier to lure a giant into town and watch the giant hit other people. Like, I'll never forget when I was playing, like, the game, I had Lydia with me. Lydia somehow attracted the attention of a giant, got hit by the giant. I was looked and went, well, I'm not getting her back. Like 4 hours later in game, she just rocked up as if nothing had gone wrong. It's like, Lydia, what was space like? Did you see God? What's
she
up
saw
there?
Starfield.
She wouldn't tell me. She wouldn't tell me what was up there.
She thought she saw like the 1,000 empty planets in Starfield.
And just decided, you know what, back to Skyrim it is.
This is the most interesting thing here.
And in that vein, Lucas, is there any like bugs or bits of jank from an older game that you'd really like? And if that game ever got a theoretical remaster, you'd be pissed off if they took it out?
Well, it's one thing I was going to mention when you're talking about CRTs and scan lines and stuff and those filters. Like, it's odd with games because it's not just an artistic medium, it's also like a hybrid technical artistic medium. Like, the designers at the time, especially like people working with pixel art, they were making pixel art that like looked good in a CRT with the scan lines because it blurred all of the pixels together, and things like were just remasters will get those things like kind of wrong a little bit and make things look too clean and blocky.
Yeah, we've all seen that, right? We've all seen the image of like, it's not just your imagination. Retro games did look better on the hardware you played them on. And I'll put an example on screen now, what Lucas is talking about, where it's just, yeah, the limitations of the hardware actually made the games look better. And the people making those games were well aware of those limitations and, created the things they did with them in mind.
And I think it's fascinating because similarly, Oblivion has had a complete overhaul visually, but the one thing that I don't like in the Oblivion Master is like the lack of saturation in the colours.
Yeah, it has very much that Unreal sheen to it. And something that like frustrates me is how good the game looks when you're stood perfectly still. And I get why they want to sell it with screenshots. Like when you just stand in a town or looking out over a vista, it does look very nice. But I'm not playing the game because it looks nice. I'm playing the game because it's fucking hilarious to create a 1 second paralysis spell, go to the top of the biggest mountain you can find, and just hit the adoring fan with it and watch him just pinwheel down the mountain.
Okay, well, I'll be hanging around the arena grounds if you need someone to worship the ground you walk on. Bye.
One thing I really associate Oblivion with is walking out, and yeah, you can fix like the amount of bloom in there a bit.
No, put more in.
But yeah, I mean,
do you like some games have like
HD remastered?
Yeah, give me the bloom filter. People don't know what we know about bloom. Like, it's just a screenshot of what like playing like Oblivion back in the day looked like. Where it's like Patrick Stewart is the fucking sun.
I mean, if you can, I'm probably sure there's like a comparison video somewhere.
So it's been made. It existed the second the release came out.
I wasn't going to say that. I was going to say compare like the graphics between Wind Waker and Wind Waker HD.
Okay.
Just the amount of bloom they added into the HD remaster is like absolutely insane and completely changes the visuals. But yeah, it is weird to not see like the bright blue sky and the really green mountains and trees and stuff. There's a lot of brown. They've added the brown pissy feel of the 360 generation into Oblivion.
Yeah, I liked, the bloom did make things look ugly sometimes, but I did like how just vivid the world was. It lent to its like otherworldly, ethereal feel. Like you feel like you are walking through a mysterious land, and it's so bright, and it also contrasted so much with the world of Oblivion. Like the realm of fire and monsters and stuff like that. When you go in there, it's like, oh my god, everything's so red and dark and brown and jagged.
I don't think we're going to make it out of here alive.
Both are really cool. Like, the remaster's done very well as far as I can tell, and there's a bit of like technical hiccups where it could like run smoother and have a better frame rate and stuff, but that's into the nitty-gritty of it. Like, that's my biggest gripe, is just the lack of colour in the overworld. But
which has no doubt been fixed with mods. There's already mods for the game that like give Argonians bigger tits and stuff like that. We're in there, boys.
Within 24 hours, apparently, there was already like 20 mods for the game already up on Steam and that. So
there's also as well like a channel which I've no doubt been putting clips in from. I believe it's Bacon, where like for years they would do just like 10-second long clips of just highlighting the AI and the funny ways it could interact. They've already started remaking all those videos in HD.
I'm Rena Bruyant. I love dogs. Doesn't everyone? Bye. Watch. I'm Rena Bruyant. I love dogs. Doesn't everyone? You too. You.
Like just the one I saw the day it came out, I had like 1 million views in a day of just like just the bandit. It was like your money or your life, and then like okay, give him the 100 gold, immediately pickpocket him for the gold. Just great, right? Or my favourite one, which fucking like sends me every time, is it's simply titled "I like dogs." And if you Google "I like dogs" or watch this video for another 10 seconds, I'll put the clip in. It's just a woman in the game's like, "I like dogs," and then you turn around, her husband is just doing a double axe handle to the dog.
What?
That's the video. And that's the thing, ahead of its time, because like that was before Vine, before TikTok. Just 10-second long videos. Well, you couldn't monetize 10-second long videos back in the day. They were making that shit for the love of the game, and you've got to respect that.
What?
And that is a really fascinating thing. Is obviously immediately people have gone, well, now I want a Fallout 3, New Vegas, Skyrim, Morrowind remaster just in this vein, and it is fascinating the community that is around these games, around the Elder Scrolls, and just Bethesda games in general. They've kept Skyrim alive for like 12 years, and even the we can't not mention the Oblivion mod that's been worked on for years and is like still in the works now.
Now, speaking of stuff I worked on, I remember writing about Oblivion like a decade ago when I wrote for Cracked about like the most like comprehensive, just ambitious mods. And like a decade later, they're still working on that thing.
And Bethesda have confirmed, like, hey, or I think the team confirmed, Bethesda got in contact with them, said, you know, we're not going to take you down or anything, we're not going to stop you making Oblivion, which, if anyone doesn't know, is they're basically using Skyrim to rebuild Oblivion as a game, like using all the Skyrim assets and stuff. They were basically trying to remaster Oblivion themselves using Skyrim, and instead of being like, no, fuck you, take it down now, they just sent them copies of the game.
So here's how it's done.
And just went,
right?
Yeah.
Here's how it's done.
Being in touch with your community really helps, and that's why they knew the kind of janky things to leave in rather than fix as well. Just it's a fascinating example of how to do it right.
Yeah, and I'm just like such a big fan of how janky it is, and like I've been playing through the game with a huge smile on my face. Like every time I get to a quest, like start of the Dark Brotherhood quest line, and as soon as Lucian LeChance turned up and I heard that voice, I'm like, fuck yeah, Lucian LeChance, let's fucking go. Because that is like one of the best quest lines in all of like the history of Elder Scrolls. I've not played like Daggerfall and stuff, but I'm just gonna say I think the Dark Brotherhood in Oblivion is so well written. It's so funny, it's so charming. Because obviously they murder people for fun and profit.
Yeah.
And they make every member of that group feel like fucking hilarious.
You sleep rather soundly for a murderer. That's good.
And I was so shocked because obviously I'm familiar with like kind of getting hinted at going down the Dark Brotherhood in Skyrim and stuff, and it takes a while. My Sabrina Carpenter hadn't leveled up. Like, I think I went to sleep to level up for the very first time. And Lucian was already there, like, I see you've been fucking murdering people.
He's great, right? He just turns up in your house.
Yeah.
It's great. Lucian LeChance is fucking awesome, and I was so mad. Like, when he turns up as a summon in Skyrim, but they didn't give him as many lines. Like, damn it. Oh, he just have a few, like, he'll comment on Shadowmere and stuff, and it's like, yeah, he does.
I thought it was just so fun and cool to be like, I'm just turning level 2 in the Dark Brotherhood already, just approving of my fuckery.
They recognise Sabrina Carpenter's skills.
They do.
So, Sabrina Carpenter, you've already killed 14 people on your quest for shoes. Let's go.
And I find it fascinating. I'm already seeing clips going around of different glitches and people just being gleeful that they work. Like, seeing clips of streamers figuring out, like, their chat telling about the lock-picking leveling up glitch where you can just go to, like, the 5th slot that's empty if you go on like easy or whatever, and just spam A or the space button or whatever to just level up your lock picking over and over again for free.
Or just like when you get to spell creation, and you just, okay, I'm just going to make a 1-second spell of charm 100 points, and now every person in the game immediately sells you all their, like, they'll sell you their entire inventory for like 1% of its worth.
So what, it only affects them for 1 second, so you hit them with the spell and immediately go into dialogue?
Which slows down time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's like, you know what, just stack spell effects, because they stack in that game. It's like, okay, I'm just going to create like 5 different spells, and there's no like upper limit on your stats. You might think 100's the limit, Lucas. 100 is like the baseline. It's like, just get your speed up to like 2,000 points by stacking the spell effects, and you can just teleport across the map in one set.
I still remember one of the first, like, you know, incredible amounts of, like, fuckery in an Elder Scrolls game video that I saw was just, here's what happens when you take, like, 5,000 Skooma in Morrowind and just jump out of the world.
Because, yeah, because, like, just the stats stack. The stat boost stack, and you end up with, like, 4,000 strength, so you can jump 400 feet into the air. It's great. It's like, Morrowind, like, speaking of charm, like, one of the funniest things in that game is, like, most people, when they walk through into, like, that game into the first town, just a guy dies directly in front of you, and he's wearing, like, boots of long jump, which are boots that let you jump really high, but not land. It's like, what a fucking idiot.
Oh, shit, so you try them on.
Yeah, you jump really high,
what do these do? Jump.
But you die.
You die from the fall damage. I love that shit.
And this is like, what did you expect? You know what I didn't expect? Like an Oblivion remaster, but I'm happy that it's here. And folks at home, if you have any games from the Xbox 360 era you think deserve a remaster, or you'd love to see remastered, or there's like some jank from that era you would love to see preserved or presented in HD, let us know either in the comments or the Discord you can find linked below. Mate, if you're not going to play it anymore, that means you're not going to get to the Dark Brotherhood quest line. Where they start giving you, like, fucking, like, poisoned apples. And you can just leave them in the middle of town and people will fight over them. Or when you can, like, start reverse pickpocketing and putting, like, rings on people that cause, like, 500 points of fire damage on self for 1 second.
Just fucking put a hand grenade in the back pocket.
Like, one of the funniest things to do is, like, just make rings that cause, like, detrimental effects and just drop them in town and people pick them up, put them on, and just kill themselves. Like, yeah. It's like, that inventory is now mine.
To be fair, like, you know, I'm gonna still play Oblivion at some point, but as I said, Game Pass got like 3 good games this week. I just booted up Clair Obscur 33, Expedition 33 for like the first hour. Was like, oh, I'm feeling this, and I'm gonna just get back to Oblivion when I'm done with that.
You know what? Oblivion's been waiting for like over a decade, Lucas. It doesn't matter how long you take to get back to it, because Oblivion will always be there. Cheers, everybody. So how are you coping with that heat, Monfrere?
As a British person, just poorly in general, day to day, right?
Yeah, but do you know where I don't mind things heating up? Over on our Patreon.
Oh, goddamn, yeah. Where we, you know, have a lovely shout-out here, and there are plenty of people to shout out this month for our lovely support, or their lovely support. Not our support, our content, their support.
Yes, and if you all happen to be watching this for the first time, we have a standing challenge, a gauntlet that has been thrown down. We hope our audience will pick up if they choose and want to support us over on our Patreon. That is, come up with the funniest or hardest to pronounce name possible, so that we look like idiots at the end of each video this month.
Le Grill? What the hell is that?
That is true. Or just come up with like a silly name that's fun to riff on, or as somebody has done for the last few months, just put a name in that's easy to grab clips for, right?
Yes, or a name that's really, really long, or just your name. Some examples to follow, such as Lucas.
Well, the first one would be, I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly, as, you know, stands with all of these names, M. Chambers.
This is Mr. Chambers' office. Oh, he's in. Let me introduce you.
And M. Chambers is followed closely by Fallopian Starship and the Womb of Doom. And I said I'd buy their album last month when they supported us. I'm not sure I'd buy that album. That's a concept album that would remain unbought, I feel.
Well, Karl, you did say that slightly incorrectly because they present the Womb of Doom.
Oh no. That's like a support act, right? Fallopian Starship presenting the Womb of Doom.
Yeah, maybe like this really grungy hardcore metal band coming on, like just the Womb of Doom.
Like, it reminds me of, like, I don't know why this joke sticks out in my head, but it's from like Herbs, Sims in the City for the Nintendo DS, where one of the characters you talk to just says, "Yeah, I was in a band called Show Cancelled and no one ever turned up."
That's actually a really solid line considering it's on Herbs, Sims in the City.
I don't know why
DS.
Herbs, Sims in the City is in my head, but hey.
Well, you know who's in my head right now looking at the screen, Karl? That is Kicking Bucket enjoys the bit, but they are subscribed to other patrons, so this long-winded name needs to be changed at some point. Because their name cut off. They hit the character limit. There's no T there.
Today a great legacy rests upon your shoulders. Because here, we make more than just tea.
Oh man, it's like the Thrill House joke, right? Of like, all I did was enter my name, Thrill House, and it doesn't fit on the screen. Which is like one of the most underrated Simpsons jokes.
This is great! And all I've done is enter my name! Thrill House!
And also one of the weirdest things in Pokemon, right? Where Feraligatr just misses like the O at the end of Gator, I think it would be. Where just Gator, because they hit the character limit and they were like, fuck it, we're committing to that for the rest of eternity.
Or Farfetch from the first gen, where it's got an apostrophe in its name because they didn't have enough letters to spell out Farfetched. And just that's the only Pokemon that has punctuation in its name.
But wouldn't the apostrophe be as long as just adding the actual letter in there?
Shut up, Lucas, and get on to the next name. Oh wait, that's me! And the next name is Tam McKee.
Hell goddamn yes, and the name after that would be the lovely Lucille DeSteele.
I know I've mentioned it before, but you use like lovely as a modifier.
I know. You call me out and I get so embarrassed because like for some reason during recording it's the only adjective I can think of anymore.
Is there a reason for that? Is it like just... The reason I say it, if anyone's wondered, like, oh, and I'm joined by the lovely Lucas, because I think of it like, a magician and their lovely assistant.
And, assistant, Karl. I see how it is.
No, I mean, like, that the joking way. Because the back in days, right,
joking.
of like, oh, my assistant off screens. It's just a habit I got into.
Next, he calls in one of his assistants.
Be the lovely Lucille DeSteele.
Where would he be without them?
But I've probably picked up that habit from you, and now you're calling me out on it?
Is it like it's a verbal widget for you then? Just like one of those like filler words that you use?
I think so at this point when recording. I don't use it that often when I'm not recording. That's the weird thing, is just... I don't know. I have no answer.
All of our patrons are our lovely assistants because they assist in the making of these videos, right? So it makes sense.
Yeah, they literally help keep the lights on, and by lights I mean literally the two lights that are pointed on my face.
Yeah,
right
it's not
now.
making it any warmer at all. I totally swear. So Tam McKee and Lucille DeSteele, once again, thank you for helping keep the lights on me and Lucas. But the next name I have to shout out is simply Marcus. And when I say the name Marcus, Lucas, who do you think of first? Is it Marcus Phoenix?
Marcus Phoenix, yeah.
Have you got a favourite Marcus Phoenix quote? And is it just...
I was thinking, is it just a grumble or some shit, or is it like, I can't even remember what they're called, like, Theron Guards, right? It's just like, Theron Guards!
Yeah, that's the thing, like, Marcus Phoenix is like the main character of the Gears of War franchise, and he doesn't have a single memorable quote. Every other character in that series has a more memorable quote than he does. Like Dom Santiago of like, sup bitches, every time he lands a headshot.
Or just the Coltrane go, woo!
The fact that he says woo every time he dies, because he fucking loves it. Dude just loves, like, just rolling around at the speed of sound, as we all would. But, Lucas, what name do we have next? Speaking of, like, rolling to escape things.
Well, this is kind of the opposite of rolling, because this is, I went say lovely. I went say lovely again. God.
I'm so sorry.
This is the extremely generous B of Awesome, and they've managed to, like, just when they like, someone kidnaps someone and sends a ransom letter.
Oh, right,
and it's like little letter cutouts. They've managed to do that, but with emojis to spell out awesome, and then also there's now 6 B's at the end of their name.
All I can think now is to mention Gears of War, it's like the Krill.
Oh God, Karl.
No.
Karl.
Ah!
No. Ah!
I couldn't see. It's like, because it looked light enough for me to walk down. I didn't take damage for a while.
It's like, all I heard was Karl go, I think I can make it.
I think I can make the krill. So I know you don't like bees, right? Imagine if bees were like the krill. And you imagine like you go out like near a picnic and just like the bees come in and just completely eviscerate you.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't help myself because I don't like bees and wasps, and then I wear shirts like this and have hair like this, and they just go, oh, colour.
There's a flower. I'd say it's like the krill. It's like stepping into like, you know, the darkness in Gears of War when it's Lucas stepping outside, just 400 bees come in, just disappear. It's like, but you know, we move swiftly on now to Woo's Williest Wonka.
Hell, goddamn.
I'm down with that name. WWW. World Wide Web. Let's go.
It always sticks in my brain whenever someone says like World Wide Web. The factoid that, you know, many people will already know, but that WWW doesn't save any time.
No.
As an abbreviation to World Wide Web.
Yep. It actually takes more time.
Yeah.
Because you go to like, you know, 2 syllable. You go from 1 syllable to 2. I thought you were going to talk about
maybe just the most inefficient abbreviation ever, right?
Yeah, ATM machine or rip in peace, right? I thought you were going to talk about the information superhighway, which we need to talk about at some point. The fact that there was that weird period in the 90s where the internet was exclusively referred to as the information superhighway. Bring it back.
Imagine a world where every word ever written, every picture ever painted, and every film ever shot could be viewed instantly in your home via an information superhighway.
Bring back like textbooks with information superhighway written on them, and like kids riding keyboards like surfboards.
Oh, that was cool, because that was pretty much like Channel 4 and BBC were just co-piloting that ship of making it the internet superhighway, right?
Yeah, like the information superhighway or the internet superhighway is like, as well, they'd like present it as this like wonderful thing. It's like, hey, look, here's access to all the world's knowledge. You can talk to all your friends regardless of where they are. And I imagine if they did one of those today, it's like, here's the racism machine. You need it to get a job.
What that would mean is you could transform your home into a mammoth interactive entertainment centre, with the odd stock exchange and shopping centre thrown in. It sounds pretty grand, but it all comes down to computers communicating. And in fact, that's already happening on something called the internet.
Moving swiftly on from that statement, we also have Llama de Llama.
And thank you, Llama de Llama, for allowing me to put in more clips of llamas.
What llama are you thinking of right now?
It's not llamas with hats, I've already done that. So maybe I'm going to get one of those like llamas that just like headbutt somebody. Do people go to zoos and they just like slap the nut on someone?
2 llamas have escaped from the Lamazon Corporation and are running wild in Santa Llama City. We have confirmed reports of at least 6 people dead and a further 24 in critical condition. I'm receiving word that Lamazon have deployed a remotely operated nuclear-assisted llama destroyer to neutralize the threat.
How long until you put a clip in of just Emperor's New Groove, like, llama face?
I've not seen Emperor's New Groove that much. I've watched it once. You know what? Maybe we'll talk about an episode of Wiki Weekends, and yeah, let us know in the Discord. Do you want us to talk about Emperor's New Groove? It'll make us have to watch it again.
I want to watch it again. I watch it all the time.
Yeah, but you know, I don't want to watch. I don't want to watch Little Ghost. Because there's something scary about the idea of a little ghost.
No, because Little Ghost reminds me of Casper the Friendly Ghost.
Is he that friendly?
Casper's pretty friendly, yeah.
I don't know, he's fucking scary though.
Makes friends with, I think it's Christina Ricci, right?
Yeah. I still think he's scary, but I will give like shout outs to the effects they did, because apparently like making Casper the Friendly Ghost was a ball ache, because they had to develop like new technology to render like the translucent Casper for all the scenes that he was in.
So, you know, referring to yet another movie that we may cover at some point on Wiki Weekend.
You know, I'd love to rewatch it, because I remember rewatching it endlessly as a kid and being scared when his uncles turn up. And I had the game. Do you remember the game?
No.
There was a Casper the Friendly Ghost game, and I remember there was not a bug, but like a cheat you could do, because you could float up and down. And if you went into one corner of the map, you could float and like keep glitching into the corner until you rose above the walls and fly above all the walls and skip all the levels. And just fly straight to the final boss.
And then ending with yet another reference for a movie that we could cover at some point, because I've not seen the Stallone version of Judge Dredd.
Oh, that'd be good. We could do dueling wikis of Dredd versus Judge Dredd. That's the thing, like everyone always gives like props to Dredd. It's like, oh, Karl Urban's performance is so good, and I can never get over the fact you can clearly tell he's clenching his jaw in every scene he's in. He's like, whereas Stallone just looked like that.
I am the law. Drop your weapon.
I can see Dredd working as a series of movies, but it was also just, hey, here's one good Dredd film.
I like the idea as well, that's just one day in Dredd's life. It's not even a special day for Dredd, that's just the shit he does every single day.
Yeah, and for the partner, it was literally training day,
It was
right?
their first day, yeah. Like, they get to use the excuse of, it's my first day. But no, thank you to everyone for supporting us. If you would like to have your name read out, riffed on, or have a clip attached to it, you can, just follow the links to the Patreon below and just see it next month.
Thank you all.